So I had a crush on this girl for around about a year and a half. This would have been between the ages of about 14 to 16, and looking back, I actually regret all of it, bro. But if I draw my mind back, I was like writing her letters like once a month. My mom actually found one of the letters in my blazer one day. Kind of awkward story there as well. It was just like general cringy, cheesy stuff. So I like randomly like hook arms with her, or like just tell like all her friends that I have a crush and all of that. It was like the ultimate simp level stuff. And looking back, aside from like questioning why I was that way, I'm actually glad we didn't end up together. There's no disrespect to her, but we just followed different paths in life, and I'm happy with where I'm at currently. But if you are currently in a situation now where you find yourself being like the quote unquote simp, don't actually be too harsh on yourself. I think it's an important part of your development. Of course, getting out of it sooner rather than later is a good idea. But if you are at a stage now where like you think something is like natural to you, then fair enough, go for it. What I do want you to think about though is starting points. Do you think any of the movies you see are realistic? Chances are not. I mean, most of them like special effects and all of that starting point. But even the storylines are just simply not realistic. Now, if you watch like most of like the romantic movies, you'll always see this girl who's interested in like the jocks, so like the ultimate Chad in the classroom, who's like has like massive muscles, he's 6 foot tall, he's captain of the sports team, all of that cool stuff. And then there's like this random nerdy guy who's like, oh, hi guys, and just like a genuine dork, for lack of better words. But he's now pursuing this girl, doing all of the random stuff that I used to do in high school. And at the end of the movie is like all this like good feelings and all of that, where this girl actually ends up at the dork and she dumps the like Chad and all of that. But you know deep down that's not what happens in real life. You know that. So kind of get out of this movie mindset and start like not even becoming like the Chad. I mean, that in itself for me is like an unrealistic part of the movie mindset. But do develop yourself. What I mean by that is learn game, but also just become more invested in yourself. Watch self-development content. It can be mine, it can be other YouTube channels. Obviously I can promote mine, but find whoever works for you. Get into the gym and generally build discipline. Try to build something that's bigger than you. Think of something like starting a shelter, starting a charity, but then also something like even closer to home. Try to like financially free your family. Most of you will probably have like live in a household where there's some sort of mortgage payment going off every month, and your dad or your mother is paying that on a monthly basis. And you're just sitting back relaxing, not really getting involved in that. But at a young age, even if you're still in high school, I mean, there's 8-year-olds that are coding websites and all of that, getting money. Surely you can start now in high school and start like earning some money, even like small amounts. It's gonna help your parents, even help you out for that matter. And obviously small things build up, build up, build up. And obviously this doesn't directly help your like simping mindset. But what it does do, it builds character. And that then gets you out of your simping phase and just into a more like independent man who leads the relationship and is generally speaking now a man that a woman would be looking for. Another thing I do want to touch on though is attachment styles. If you don't know exactly what that is, I actually can make a video on that very soon, and I do have a few on my channel already. But the general idea is there's an anxious attachment style and an avoidant attachment style. The anxious attachment style tends to be like this very needy guy who's very clingy, and that's exactly what I was in high school. Then there's the avoidant who tends to be like very laid back and doesn't really want to be intimate and generally wants distance. And this tends to be that you as an like anxious person actually gets attracted to an avoidant person, at least when you're like not aware of this dynamic that's happening. So going back to my high school situation now, she was full on avoidant. Till this day, actually hasn't dated anyone, and just recently, actually, we were talking, like we still talk now. And she said she actually might be asexual. That's like how extreme she is on her side. And then here was me sending her like love letters, flowers, doing all this cheesy stuff. And that's like the sort of dynamic you find yourself in. And that's a very unhealthy one. So you also want to get out of that like anxious attachment style, and again, I made a video on that. I'll actually link it in the description below. But also, again, bold yourself gets you out of it. Some things to think about. But ultimately, you don't want to be in the simp mindset. It's not going to get you results, even if you're like conditioned through movies or just seen like random memes on Instagram or whatever the case is. It's not going to work out in the end. I'll see you in the next one, bro. It's becoming a bit too mad.